Sure. What's going on, people? There's a bit of a delay, but sorry about that. I was busy, you know, just being an adult taking care of these pets. Let's angle this up just a little bit more. Let's see what's going on here. There we go. So, what's going on, people? Alex Thorne here, and I'm just a rock and roller who, in his downtime, likes to watch movies while wearing a bandana. And this time, I am watching the third entry into the Alien series as we are watching Alien 1, 2, 3, Resurrection, AVP, AVP 2, Prometheus, Covenant, and then ultimately watching Alien Romulus, which releases in theaters on August 16th. You know, I've done the other two watch alongs here on the channel, and part one I had seen easily, a few times in my life, but the last time was over 10 years ago for sure. And then part two is, something you put in and watch I would say every couple of years. Aliens is something you watch. But Alien 3, I feel like I've seen it only because I owned two action figures from it. So there's like this familiarity with Alien 3, but I don't know if I've watched it. You know what I mean? It came out it was the first Alien that came out while I was alive, because I was born in 86. Part two came out in 86. So, I don't know anything about that. But 3 comes out when I'm like 7 years old or so. And I probably saw a lot of the trailers online. I'm sorry, on TV, not online, because there was no online in 93. But I probably saw a lot of that. I remember having two action figures, might even still have them. I had like comic books from Alien 3, but I don't remember anything of this movie. So in my mind, I'm like, my mother must have rented it, right, at some point, because we used to rent things all the time from our local video store back then, which I think at that point when this movie came out, it had to be, we were next to a local mom and pop called Latino Video. It was an interesting place because it legit had people at the front counter that did not speak English. And every time I tried to talk to them, they would just be like, okay. And I'm like, all right. Even as a 7, 8-year-old, I would walk there. My mom would say, yeah, here's $5, go rent something. And I try to say stuff to them and they would just never respond. And that was for years. So anyways, Alien 3 is where we're at. Also, some of the cooler news that's come out is that Alien Romulus, there's a scene that's been sent out to press on a VHS. And in less than 1 month, we've gotten Terrifier 2 that got released in Walmarts as a VHS. And now a major motion picture is releasing a VHS scene, but to press. So VHS seems to be something that's just starting to kick up his heels, to pick up steam. And I hope it does, because I'm a huge VHS fan. I'm always looking out for VHS. Man, I just love it. So in terms of this series, and right now it's 7:06, I would give it about 2-3 more minutes and then I'll start the movie, because this movie's a full 2.5, I think I saw 2 hours long. Yeah, an hour and 54 minutes. By the way, I'm watching Alien 3 on Hulu. And, you can find it on Hulu if you have it as well. I believe it's on HBO. I saw, if you have the DVD, VHS, or Blu-ray of it, watch it there. But I'm giving you time to kind of catch up with me and do that. But back to what I was saying is, like, it's so cool to see VHS be a thing. I do remember owning the Alien Quadrilogy VHS set. That I do remember. And I remember picking it up out of curiosity. It had like a silver alien on the side. It was a black box that had a silver alien on the side. And I remember only picking it up because I was like, I love Alien 2. at that point, I was probably a teenager, right? 12 to 14 years old. I had seen Alien 2. Let's make sure that our audio is up here. Let me see, make sure I sound good. Let's see, where's the audio at? Nope, that's not it. Years old. There we go. But yeah, so I was about 12, 14 years old. I remember picking it up from a used record store, the Alien Quadrilogy VHS set. And maybe I watched this movie then. Maybe as I watch it today, it'll jog my memory on it. But I don't remember a thing about Alien 3 that we're about to watch, which is a good thing because it might just be something completely fresh for me. I feel like, and in last week's watch along that we did here on this channel, I said the same thing. I feel like this series really, is like Terminator in the sense that you have part one, which was so good and made its mark. And then part two just, is a huge part of 80s cinema and sci-fi action movies, similar to Terminator 1 and 2. And then you've got all of these sequels afterwards that people really don't talk about or don't care for. And anytime you hear about aliens, it's just Alien and Aliens, just those two, 79 and 86. And you really never hear about 3 or Resurrection. Man, there's just so much to this series, but that's why we're reviewing it. And that's why we're getting into this. One more minute at 7:10. I am going to press play on this. So I'll do a countdown and all that. But for any of you who are joining the chat, we are going to watch Alien 3 today. I'm watching it off of Hulu. You can watch it off of whatever streaming service you want. Or if you've got the VHS, DVD, or Blu-ray, go ahead and check it out there. This is going to be a journey. This is going to be fun. And, I've learned my lesson from the first watch along because the first one got to, a copyright claim from Fox. Sorry, Fox. I will keep it at a minimum. And then if you hear anything in the background, please remember I am in a big city. So you may hear lots of sirens and sounds. I know I'm going to hear them, but you may not. Guys, it is 7:10. I'm going to press play on Alien 3 now in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. This one's presented in ultra widescreen, which I don't even remember if 1 or 2 were presented that way. I'm not even sure. No, got to turn you even lower than that. Let me make sure I have subtitles on, because if I can't hear it, if you can't hear it, then I can't hear it. That's going to be for sure. I wonder if they felt like I wonder if they felt pressured to bring back Sigourney Weaver for this. Like, it won't work without her type of thing. Because, I mean, it's a little odd. You know what I mean? Like, there's so many people. There's so many Marines and all that stuff from the previous movies. And you got to just imagine there's so many people going out into space at this time, this futuristic time. Oh, whoa, whoa. What's going on here? One of the face huggers is like, oh, come on. No way. Is that the actual actress, or did they get somebody to look like her? No. Okay, so what's happening right now is I think a face hugger is breaking into the pod where Newt from the from part 2 was in, because at the end of part 2, you've got Lance Henriksen's character Bishop, Sigourney Weaver's Ripley, and Newt. Oh no. Is this real, or is this like part 2 where there was like a dream sequence? I think a face hugger made it into the pod. Oh, come on. Don't tell me this does what fucking, oops, sorry, I'm not supposed to curse on this. Don't tell me this does what Terminator Dark Fate does. Are they really killing off Newt in the opening sequence after you get attached to her? Okay. So I believe because the alien, or yeah, I think because the face hugger broke through it, it released something and made the Cyrus. Oh, Sigourney Weaver is a co-producer on this. That's probably something they had to bribe her with to make her come back. This is this is this sucks. It's I feel like I hate that these movies felt like they had to have a dependence on certain characters. You know what I mean? Like I actually commend Terminator Salvation, even though I'm not a huge fan of it, I commend them for not having Arnold throughout the entire movie. It was nice to see Terminator without Arnold because it's such a vast universe. But they just feel like who's going to care without this main character? We need them to bring it back. It's not true. It's not true. Obviously, you want to see Sigourney Weaver back against aliens eventually, but you also want to see some other stories. Okay, it looks like her. Let's see, we got Florina Fury 161. Chromosome work correctional facility, maximum security. Okay, so that sounds like a prison. Is she landing? Yeah, obviously something happened. She ended up landing in water. Funny how these other planets look like Earth, what regardless of what planet you land on, they all have Earth stuff on it. You know, things that we made. Report EV unit 2650 crash. Yeah. Yeah, her pod definitely got released, and I'm pretty sure Newt is gone. Yep, there's a bunch of blood. What a shame. How do they kill off Lance Henriksen's android? Because I'm pretty sure they're about to show that too if they killed off Newt. So, of course, right, this world shouldn't have aliens on there, but now it does because of this alien that came through with Newt that got on board, which is, that's understandable. You can understand something like that happening for sure. Like, it's plausible, right? It's plausible that a face hugger can get on board the spacecraft that she's on. Because let's be honest, if the queen could get on board and she was gigantic, then a face hugger can get on board. But it sucks that we just, you get so attached to somebody. Approximately 12 years old. Yeah, unidentified female dead. Wow. Yep, so Newt is gone. They seem to be reviving Corporal Dwayne Hicks. Oh, that's right. There was four of them. Dwayne Hicks was oh wow. The guy who played Kyle Reese. I forgot that he was on board too. He was injured. There goes Bishop, synthetic android, negative capability. Synthetic humanoid. Interesting. So I'm thinking if the face hugger made it with Newt. Oh, wait a minute. What? They usually die after they mate with somebody. Unless all it no, it had the thing on her face. How is that face hugger still alive? After they impregnate or, get with somebody, it's usually over for them. But obviously the face hugger is still alive, so did it not mate with Newt? I'm confused. Okay, there's a prison and everybody's bald. God, don't let that be my future. Oh, the actor that played Rock on the TV show Rock. By the way, I'm drinking protein powder with water. I just started a fast, a 7-day fast. This is my 5th or 6th time doing this. I do it about every 90 days. Nothing but liquids for the next 7 days: water, tea, coffee, protein shakes. No sugars, no nothing like that. Very, plant protein, because I still go to the gym, which I went today too. Oh, wait a minute. I got to make sure I log into the account from here. Talk to you guys. Yes. Oh, boom. Let's see. See, this is the way I remember Sigourney Weaver looking, with that short hair. I was so shocked when I saw her in part 1 have this big puffy full head of hair, because she actually looked pretty. Sorry, I'm not saying she's not pretty. I've never found Sigourney Weaver attractive. So like when I saw her in the 1979 one, before she's all sweaty and all that stuff with the actual hair, I was like, oh wow, she looks somewhat attractive there. But she's just never been somebody who I look at and admire anything but her acting ability. Boy, she looks rough. She looks rough. I wonder if the whole planet that she landed on is the entire planet a prison, or did she land near that prison and got picked up there? Right? Because if that's the case, you can just get her well and let her go. Okay, right now she's asking what happened to Newt and not Kyle Reese, but the actor who played Kyle Reese, as well as Bishop. Yeah, she's with a bunch of dudes everywhere. Like, and then this is, what, it's kind of smart too, because I believe at the end of part 2, she just gets in there with like a spaghetti string top and panties or something like that. So, and that's like the most feminine that Ripley has, really ever looks in these movies, is when she finally lets her guard down, which is very few times, right? She's always surrounded by people in these movies. So being alone with Newt is how she actually starts to let her guard down, actually have some femininity to her. but now she's in a prison with a bunch of dudes, so she's certainly not going to be any way feminine at all, which is cool. It works for the story. Doesn't make any sense. She has to go to the craft to see the bodies, and they get to the craft, and she goes, "Where's the bodies?" Jesus, her eyes getting red. Um, she asks where the bodies are, and you go, "We have a morgue. Why didn't you just take her there?" Oh, so they're saying that Newt drowned once they hit the water, and the uh, that's because the face hugger broke the glass, so all the water got in there. Okay, so she was alive, so it probably did mate with her. Uh oh. Uh oh. Oh crap. So Ripley just saw the acid burns and the remains of the acid on the side of the pod for Newt. So she immediately knows that there's a possibility of an alien coming on board. What the f is all that? Oh shit, the dog. Hey dog, it's time for you to act. You gotta act hurt. Uh-oh. Oh, the side of the dog's face is all banged up. Oh, wait a minute. The dog has like markings of the hands from the face hugger. Oh, don't tell me. Maybe it made it with Newt's and then Newt died, so she can't actually have the alien, the xenomorph. But now maybe it didn't get to finish. Yeah, it's probably not the same actress because first of all, this is 93. Newt was in 86, and they just showed like half of her eyes. Why would you? Why did they have? Okay, the little girl, and they managed to pull the damn blanket on the dead body all the way to her stomach, revealing her top, which is unnecessary. They could have just pulled it down to the neck. She's feeling around Newt's cold, dead body to see if there's anything inside of her. Yeah, she's calling for an autopsy. See, the problem is she's probably going to tell them why she wants the autopsy, but like she's fully aware that if she says anything, so she's just a possible contagion, they're not going to believe her. Shalera. There hasn't been a case of Cholera reported in 200 years. I'll raise the brightness on this. It's a pretty dark movie, which is expected for an alien film. These alien movies, I'm always curious now that I've, been on a third one, how long is it going to take before something, kicks off for real? Not that I want it to kick off already. Like, I'm only 18 minutes into the movie, but the first one legitimately took an hour and a half out of its 2 hour runtime to kick off. And the second one kicked off exactly at 59 minutes to where all the aliens started coming in. This one is also nearly 2 hours runtime. So I'm curious as to how long they're going to take before they reveal the aliens in this one. Oh my God, they're cracking the bones. She's got to watch all this happen to Newt, who she already lost a daughter, which was revealed in the director's cut of Aliens 2. Oh my God, they're pulling apart the rib cage. There we go. So he just asked her, since he's not a complete idiot, what exactly are we looking for? Because you wouldn't just cut her open just in case she had whatever they said it was. Huh. He tries to introduce her to this other guy and he just completely ignores her. He doesn't want her he's advising that she doesn't parade around the prisoners. Parade around the prisoners. She's literally existing. And she's covered from head to toe, but she's parading around. So this guy's on her side, this dude that she's talking to, for sure, who did the autopsy. Jesus. 25 prisoners of all the worst. Lockup is back in 2,200 hours. He just put himself in. Oh, this is Wayland. Again? How does Wayland have a prison as well? Well, I think that's what it is because I saw the W. Is it the only tech company in the entire universe? Oh, I could tell the color tone of this movie is going to be very different. Yeah, it is Wayland Technologies. It's going to be completely different from the previous two movies. This movie is very like reddish brown in color tone. The second one was very blue. The first one was majorly blue, or majority. There you go. That's what I was looking for. Majority blue and a little bit of bronze scenes. This is just like a reddish brown throughout the entire, like this rustic color tone. I think the face hugger got onto the dog, and it didn't have time to mate with Newt, but it tried to. Oh, the dog. Oh, is the dog, the xenomorph is coming out of the dog? Oh, it is. It is. That's pretty cool. So now the xenomorph is gonna mate with the dog. Oh, okay. Wow. So they threw Newt and I don't remember his name, but Kyle Reese's character. Oh, she's bleeding. They threw them into lava. She's having a nosebleed, Ripley. And then the all at the same time, the xenomorph is just burst out of the dog. But how the hell is the xenomorph so big already? Like again, the dog has a small hole out of its midsection, and then the xenomorph looked like it was already, 4 or 5 feet tall, or 4 or 5 feet in length. Oh, come on. So right after that scene, Sigourney Ripley, she shaved her head, shaved her hair off, I guess to maybe to be less attractive to these inmates, or to maybe like be one of them. That is a interesting Jada Pinkett and Demi Moore GI Jane look. In fact, I think this she did this look before GI Jane, because if I remember GI Jane, it was like 95 and this is 93. So this is prior. She's not a prisoner. Why is she? Well, she's always been one of the boys. They had a funeral. So I got to find out this guy's name. This actor. Let's see. Okay, so Charles Dutton. He plays Dylan here. He played Rock. I'm going to start calling him by his name, Dylan. She's trying to become friendly with him because he just did the funeral for Newt's. And he said that he's a murderer and a abuser of women, but she doesn't buy it. Give me a second. Let's see. They're talking about how there's always been just men there and they haven't had any temptation. My God, it's 88 degrees outside and 82 degrees in here. So what I'm actually going to do, because my pipes are actually frozen at the moment. I'm interested. I'm interested in what the budget was for this movie. So it's $50 million, and it made double that, 100. Well, it earned over 100 million outside of North America. Yeah, it's let's see. Alien was made for 11 million. Aliens was made for 18 million. And then Alien 3 was made for 50. That is a considerable jump. But it made 100 outside of the US, which that'll warrant a sequel right there. I'm curious, like, I know obviously there's economics that play into, you know, cost and all that stuff of rising, but like if part two was $18 million to make and it had so much practical effects, and part three cost 50 million, are we gonna have like double the aliens in this, or are we just gonna have that one? Are we going back to the idea of one alien? Because I'd be disappointed in that, especially as a moviegoer in '93. And if I'm excited because of aliens, there seems to be, what is that? Okay, the shedded skin of the face hugger, and there's a ton of like insects on it. Of course, the name of the dog was Spike. Woo! Oh, what a death. Wow. So I believe Spike's owner, who saw him earlier with the face hugger kind of stuff on him, not on him, but you know, he had some of the signs of something hurting him, was just looking for him. Of course, he comes across the new alien. Oh, they made it. Oh, shit. Okay. Ripley already getting some? Ripley. This is the first time we see her like do something feminine. But anyways, yeah, he just died by poking his head looking for the dog. Of course, bam. right out of its mouth, and he went flying into a fan. What? Let me ask you guys: what are some of your favorite Sigourney Weaver movies that are not Alien? Because again, I have no issue with her. Oh, let me not touch the mic. I have no issue with Sigourney Weaver whatsoever. I just know her from this movie, from this series, and I know her from the cover of Lost Galaxy, where she had the blonde wig, and that's the only time that I, found her attractive. But like other than that, I don't really remember her doing anything. She's like Jamie Lee Curtis to me. Like I guess you're a decent actress in what you're in, but I don't really pay attention to her. I wonder, like, with her shaving her head and not really having any big feminine features, I wonder how that felt for that guy because she looks like all the rest of the prisoners. Or maybe he's not, maybe it's the same thing. Man, the cleanup for somebody going flying into a fan, can you imagine? Everything about this movie is just this bronze overtone, not even bronze. It's like just I don't even know how to describe it. It's very copper. That's a better way to describe it. It's a very copper overtone on this movie, which is so extremely different from the previous one. So interestingly, so he just saw the same, and I think he's starting to figure it out right now, which is the same acid, leftover acid, right? Hardened acid that was on the pod that Ripley was concerned about was now there. And so he's very curious about that, and which makes sense, right? But why is there acid now? Don't you have to hurt the alien for it to bleed? Why is it just acid coming out at all times? So he's letting Ripley know that he found that acid, that hardened acid. She hasn't necessarily told him what's going on at all yet. But he is on her side. He did sleep with her, but I mean, I don't know. He already did lie to his, superiors. So I'm assuming that the warden is talking to is this like obviously it's his superior. But boy, is he talking to him in a crazy way while he keeps his patience. I mean, it couldn't be me. But then again, they are in a prison, so they're and he works for them, so he'll lose his position and possibly be jailed just because he talks back to the warden in that sense. Is anybody ever in shape who's in charge here ever? I feel like in all three movies, everybody who was in charge was out of shape. Oh man, I hope he didn't tell him. He's starting to ask a lot of questions. I mean, I understand why there would be interest there from the inmates. I mean, it's a bunch of 25 guys, right? For Ripley, I just don't understand why they're so ridiculously concerned that they don't even want her out. I mean, Ripley can handle herself. She's going around looking and she found, God, that looks like the most plasticky thing ever of Bishop, Lance Henriksen's character, his burned remains and all that. I mean, is he in this? I didn't even know if Lance Henriksen is actually in this. Do they like, since he's a droid, they could remake him, I guess. They could remake him. I still sit Indian style sometimes like a kid. But yeah, he was busted in two, ripped in half. Oh, wait a minute. Oh, come on now. This is why they're concerned for her because these guys. Oh shoot. Oh dear Lord. Oh man. Please tell me this is a nightmare that she's having. Oh, it's not. So her being in a prison with 25 guys of all types, she was just accosted by several of them. Don't think I have to say anything more. But Dylan came and helped her. It makes me wonder, like seeing Sigourney Weaver play Ripley again in 1993, which is about what, 2 years after Terminator 2 got released. I wonder if the studios or anybody in charge of the Terminator franchise, obviously James Cameron wasn't going to come back so soon for a third one, but it makes me wonder, did they say, since there's like a Alien 3 releasing, we got to release Terminator 3 now? Obviously we wouldn't get Terminator 3 until 2003, 11 years later, but like it just makes me wonder what were these other franchises doing, because I think at this point too, I want to say 92-ish, Predator 2 had come out, which was not one of my favorites at all. In fact, I saw it about a year and a half ago with Buddy, and it to me just did not stand up. It did not hold up, as my series would say. And one of these days I have to go, review all the Predators because I've never seen anything past Predator 2. Just like I feel like none of this is familiar to me in Aliens 3, or Alien 3. And I mean, you know what? Maybe because they went back to the Alien instead of Aliens, maybe it is just this one dog alien in here. If you saw Alien 3, did you expect there to be multiple aliens like there was in part 2? Or were you cool with the idea that they went back to one? Hopefully there's one more in this. I'd like I definitely would like to see more than one alien, but it is what it is, I guess. Uh-oh. So here they go roaming around, some of the inmates, and he certainly found one. He found the alien. Not what he was looking for though. The rest of the I don't know if these are prisoners or are these escapees or what it is. So I'm noticing something different with this alien. Instead of simply just, one hit, it almost seems to be eating, like mauling this guy. And this alien came about a lot quicker than the other movies. By the way, thank you for joining me. I'm watching Alien 3. And if you want to follow along, I am at 44 minutes and 35 seconds, 36, 37, 38 seconds. So 44 minutes. And it's been going by pretty fast just because, geez, this particular alien, uh, he showed him, here we go. They got another one. So the body count is higher here right away, or at least, woo! Snap that dude's head all the way back. We got a more clear shot of the alien for sure too. Wow, is she going to be able to rebuild Bishop? That's crazy. I didn't know he ever returned for another one. Even if he does, I'm not sure if he does, but it just seems like that's the idea they're going for. Boy, I can hear the cicadas outside. Can you? Through the stream? It's funny. Like he's just the Bishop character, the android, is so damaged. It's going to be funny if they do resurrect him. Are they going to keep it as like a dummy, like an animatronic, or there goes his hand already working, or are they going to actually replace him with the actor? That's an animatronic right there. You can tell by the dead eyes. Yeah, that is an animatronic, which is good. I'm glad they didn't replace him with the actual like Lance Henriksen's real head actor wise, because then it would have looked as weird as it did in part one when that android, when they, again, 1979, you got to remember that. But yeah, when they, put that guy underneath the table and then just stuck his head out of the top, you could tell. This is cool. This is cool. He looks weird and he should. He's trying to find out from Bishop if there was an alien on board. And he says yes, because he's connected to the system, to that ship. So basically, it's essentially like the cloud. Everything that happened on the ship, the Wayland company knows. Everything that happened, everything that was on board it, they can read it. That's good. He wants to be disconnected. Basically, he wants to be taken out of his misery. But she got the information she needed from him. This, even though I'm not a fan of killing off everybody that was on that ship to do another sequel, they at least are using them in interesting ways. You know what I mean? Lance Henriksen's character, without Lance being there, Bishop, that was a smart way of doing it. And the way they've, gotten around the way of not having the actress who played Newt. I don't like that they, killed her off, but I do like that we've still seen her in the movie, but in different forms, right? So they did do it in an interesting way, creative way. I think what's interesting too is that like Ripley Ripley still asks about the company knowing as if the company cares. Like the company has been making her, Wayland has been making her, the company has been making her an expendable person since part one. And I wonder if she still cares what the company, thinks about her, if it has its best interest. They got one of the prisoners who was trying to escape, but he's saying he saw a dragon, which obviously was the dog alien. If you're just joining me right now, I'm doing my weekly watch along of Alien movies as we watch all 8 movies leading up to Alien Romulus. The reviews are going up. Aliens Part 2 that I saw last week, that review is coming up this week. And we're just going to keep trucking along. Yeah, nothing about this movie seems familiar. So even if I did see it when it first came out, because I can't imagine that my mother wouldn't have rented this back in the day in 93 when it came out. I don't remember any of it. It did not make an impact on me whatsoever. And if she did rent it, I might have been in the same room just playing with my wrestling figures while she watched it, because nothing about this movie seems familiar outside of the title and the way she looks. Earlier in the stream, I was mentioning that I previously and possibly still do have in a closet somewhere 2 action figures from this movie, but I think I just got them because they looked cool. I never, I didn't get it because I watched the movie. So the warden just pretty much found out that she has something to do with that dragon coming on board the ship and has put her into the infirmary. No, did he say infirmary? Either way, she's being locked up and saying that she'll be safe from any of the should be safe from anything that joins her there. Initially, she said we're fucked, but he's like, no, you're fucked. She's being quarantined off. As a soldier, obviously, that's not what she wants. She's always been that person who wants to be a part of the team, and by the end of this movie, I'm sure she will be. The doctor's checking her out. It's not a door. Even closing the curtain, he can still talk to you. One of the prisoners who has been obtained that was trying to escape, he was just asking Ripley if she's ever been married. Needles, needles. I've had to deal with many needles in my life. They are always a scary thing to see, especially when you got to use them yourself. The doctor's explaining to her why he's in prison and has a prison tattoo on the back of his head. By the way, if you're joining me, I'm watching Alien 3 and I'm watching it on Hulu. Currently at 54 minutes, 52 seconds, 53, 54, 55. So we're about an hour into this and with about an hour left in this movie. But it's moving well. I will say that. It is moving much, much better than part two was. I wonder, though, since there's only one alien, I'm sorry, it's moving much better than part one was. I wonder if there's only one alien, are we going to spread the horror and the kill count throughout the entire first hour and a half to hour and 40 minutes? Because when there's so many aliens like there was in part two, you can make it just go awry and go crazy from 1 hour on. This one seems like they're kind of spreading it because it started early. He's about to inject her with something. I just don't know what it is. No way. For real? The alien made it into the infirmary. And the doctor's dead. Her love interest. Oh no! Oh, that was awful CGI. Uh, uh, uh. It's right up to Ripley's face. They can kill her. Why don't you kill her? That was weird. They came right up to her and smelled her, but didn't kill her. So again, this movie seems to kick off because she's running back. So I'm assuming something big is going to happen now. But it's like spreading the horror throughout the movie, but it's also like kicking off right at that 1 hour timestamp. The warden is kind of talking to everybody, trying to find out what exactly happened to that one prisoner earlier who got, sucked into the fan. Oh, there goes. It took the warden. Thank God, because he's a fucking idiot. That his eyeball that it just dropped, it kind of took him up into the ceiling since it's in the vents. I'm shocked. I'm shocked that her love interest, the doctor, died so fast an hour into this. But Dylan, he's got to survive to the end at least. Nobody mostly survives in these movies other than Ripley, but he's got to make it towards the end with her. Looks like more than 25 prisoners. Jeez, no freezers, no video surveillance, no weapons, no guns, nothing. But she did make mention that the previous aliens that she's come across were afraid of fire. Of course, there's always got to be that one prisoner who just wants to say we have no hope whatsoever. We got nothing and yells about it while trying to be a tough guy. All he's doing is projecting how he feels onto everybody else. Well, I mean, isn't the best thing you can do in this case if you have nothing? I would say is try to capture it somehow and drop it into the lava. Well, that's what I'm assuming, right? Because we already got introduced to the lava when they did the funeral for Newt and Kyle Reese's character in this movie, which I forget what it is. But that's what I'm already assuming is going to be the death of this alien is that lava that they've got. They seem not to have anything else because the other thing you would do is just leave, completely leave. Yeah, at the very least, they should be able to make fire some way, somehow. Jesus, 6 foot, 6 feet uh thick walls. Dude, to be like clear, there's no way anything can get through 6 feet of wall. 6 foot deep, anyways. I'm so glad the warden's gone. I would want him to be picked off very quickly if it wasn't for that alien picking him off. They keep calling one of the guys 85 because that's his IQ. They took a look at his file. It's funny. This Dylan character, he seems to the actor seems to do this in almost every movie I've seen him in, which is like come to the crossroads with whoever the other character is in the movie as to why should he put his ass on the line for them, or why should he help them, or why should, like, he was really good at doing that type of stuff. And here he goes doing it again. Like, I've seen him do it. It's funny, I haven't seen that actor in a long time, but every time I do see him, he does that his character does the exact same thing of questioning why he should help somebody else. This is the second time Ripley shows that she's tired. I'm wondering what's going on with her. She doesn't often show weakness in this series, and suddenly in this movie, two times now, she has kind of like shown that she's exhausted, even though she keeps going. There it goes. This guy's going down a ladder. There was a hint of that alien. Boy, he wants his cigar, doesn't he? He dropped a cigar. Well, then again, these guys got nothing, so anything like a cigar would make them happy. You cling on to anything when you have nothing. Uh-oh. Oh man. Oh wow. This is how everybody dies quickly, I guess. They were trying to force the alien out of the pipes and wherever the hell they are, the sewers, and then make it go into that one place where there's like 6 foot deep walls, but it was already out. And it took the guy that had the stick that was going to make everything go on fire to force it out. So now all these prisoners are dying. It's a good way to get rid of everybody at once at the hands of the alien without actually showing the alien killing 25 people. That was smart. There goes that plan. And the loss of a ton of people, ton of prisoners. So they got to be down to like 10 people now. Give me a second, be right back. Cats are getting into something, dropping things. Of course, they're hiding at the same time. Typical of cats. Sorry about that. Didn't mean to interrupt the flow. Yeah, they've mentioned it again that she's sick. Of course, the guy who had all the doubts, he's still alive, so he's going to be negative throughout everything. He should get a great death scene. Excuse me, sorry about that. You got to put people like that to keep running their mouth out loud in their place, or else they will continue to. What is going on with Ripley? I'm genuinely curious as to what's happening. She seems to be getting back into a pod on her old ship, I believe. And there's no way it made it with her too, right? Because she's alive. So her pod was intact. By the way, guys, we are watching Alien 3. This is Thorn Theater. I'm Alex Thorn, and I review movies every week on this channel. Movies that I'm actually interested in, movies that I like. What is going on? Oh, I think it's like, oh, okay, she's doing like an MRI. There's no way she's impregnated herself as well. They're trying to take a look at her heart. She have like a parasite or something? Hemorrhaging will show. Hairline fractures through the base of the skull. Foreign tissue type. Yeah, how is that possible? It's even hard to see, like, with this movie being in HD, watching it on the very best quality type of TV, OLED, it's really hard to see and make out what that was on the screen. I don't want to say the G word, so I'm going to go directly to the app here. There's a light that should be on that is not on. There you go. I don't care. So Waylon might have just put it inside of her so they can bring it back and make weapons out of the aliens, which is typical, right? We've heard that in a lot of movies, just not necessarily this one. Maybe that's why I didn't kill her earlier, because it smelled her and felt like it was just like her. But the problem is, where and when did she get that inside of her? It's a medevac team coming. He just got a signal over the computer. They should arrive within 2 hours. Absolute highest priority. Ripley must be quarantined until arrival, awaiting acknowledgement. See, they want, so maybe they did put it in her. I'm just wondering how. Man, not only was she expendable, but now they're like, we're going to use her. The only way we can get one of these things back is to put it inside of her. But why hasn't it popped out yet? That's the question. Like, these things came out pretty quickly before the whole time frame. See, that's one of my, I guess, one of my issues with this movie is it seems to be breaking some of the rules set by the previous two movies, which is, I think, I'm not sure, it tried to mate or it didn't mate with Newt, and yet it didn't die. If it made it with, or it laid an egg within Ripley, why didn't it die? Because in every other movie, once it did what it had to do with the human, it died. And then the other thing is they come out very small and then grow quickly. This one seems to just come out and immediately grow in the same scene. I mean, it takes a few hours, but this has been like a couple days now. So that's, I mean, obviously by the end of this, I'll find out and do some research before I do my whole review to help me get a bigger picture. But if I'm just viewing this as a general viewer, I would be quite confused if I seen the other two movies, which I have. I'm glad so far they kept the CGI to a minimum on this, because the one CGI scene that they showed with that alien, most of the time it's been practical. But the one CGI scene that they did use, it was bad. Boy, 1993 CGI. So right now, Ripley is looking for the dog alien or alien dog, whatever you want to say. The alien. And because it did kill her earlier, it's assuming that it may not kill her again. She thought she saw it. She just busted open like a pipe, and there's a bunch of bugs in it. I see something moving behind her, so it's probably behind her. Oh, it looks good. So she's down there with it. So what's going to happen? So she got a CAT scan. I thought it was an MRI. It's a queen, an egg layer. It can make thousands more like the one we've got here. How does she have a queen inside of her? That's wild. She really has no idea either. She's saying it was during her hypersleep. Yeah. She wants Dylan to kill her. But see, now I'm wondering that if any of the prisoners try to kill her, is the alien going to suddenly pop out and protect her? Like as if she's the queen? Come on, Dylan, try. Kick this movie off. Or kick this second half of the movie off. Why didn't he do it? He's got a point. He won't kill Ripley because then that means that thing is still out there. And half the men are already gone. Yeah, so Dylan's got a point. He wants to kill that alien first, especially since it won't kill Ripley. It respects her. It looks up to her, essentially like she's a mom, a queen, which is, makes that's pretty cool plot twist. Again, I like a lot of the notions of this movie. I do. I like what it's doing for the most part. There's that obvious unanswered question of how it got in her, but I do like some of the stuff in this. But this feels, I kid you not, this feels like a book or one of those side stories that's not fully a part of the series. You know what I mean? This seems like this could have been a comic book that came in between 2 and 3. Even though this is part 3, this story feels like a side mission story. You ever read any of the Alien books or Jason books or Freddy books? And it's like, well, all this other stuff happened. There was these other nightmares or these other camp kids, or Jason did all these other things that weren't in the movies. They're not really big and consequential. That's what this feels like to me. Almost like an unnecessary sequel, but maybe this could have been a book, like a side mission book. But that also depends on how this ends. Right now, all the prisoners are all talking about how they can kill it. What's the plan? Yep. They're putting hope in Wayland to actually come and save them. The only one they want to save is Ripley now. Essentially, she was expendable like everybody else, but now since she's pregnant, they want to get it back in her, especially since she has the queen inside of her. By the way, I'm watching this on Hulu if you're joining right now, and I'm at an hour and 24 minutes and 34 seconds, 35 seconds, 36 seconds. So an hour and 24 and 40 seconds right now. They're essentially thinking about using the prisoners as bait. I mean, either way, you guys are going to die, whether it's at the hands of this alien or at the hands of Wayland. They don't want you to survive. Ripley's right. These are a bunch of lifers. If they sent in if they had the first crew that was expendable, specifically chosen to be expendable, the Marines, they didn't give a crap about them. They sent them out there to be expendable. Why would they care about some prisoners? So that makes a lot of sense. Wayland is, I think it's Wayland, is that company that's just like Skynet. They do not care only about its mission. I feel like a lot of 90s movies, mid 90s, early to mid 90s movies had this copper aesthetic, and they thought that the future would look like this. If I remember correctly, Barbed Wire had a future. There were some blue scenes in that movie, but I remember a lot of copper tones in that movie as well. And I feel like that's just out of my memory. There's so many more movies, but I feel like the 90s thought that the future would look very bronze and copper. Not a big fan of the color change at all, from blue hues to all of this. And there hasn't been one bluish scene in this movie yet. Which even that coming from somebody who just watched Aliens is a very disconnected thing. Only one face hugger, only one alien after you made this thing be such a big production with the Queen and aliens. It's like, oh, we're gonna take this back to basics now. It's kind of hard to do that. It's very hard to do that without, disappointing your previous audience, which is me right now, since I'm reviewing this entire series. Like I said, like there's just things that I like about this movie so far. I just don't love the execution. There's a lot of ideas that are happening that I like. It feels like a book or a comic book. It doesn't feel like a sequel. I'm guessing this is all part of the plan to be loud. Oh no. Oh no. Oh no. CGI alien. Oh, why'd you guys do that? This looks awful. They're keeping it very quick when they show it, thank God. But man, it looks like it's 1993, but it just looks so bad. Obviously, it doesn't look like it's there. In the mid 90s, obviously, Terminator did the best in the early 90s, did the best CGI you could possibly do for that early time period. But when I think of CGI in the 90s, early 90s to mid 90s, I think of it being terrible. Like what I'm seeing here, to how god awful the Megazords looked in the first Power Rangers movie in like 95 ish. I think it came out in 95, and God, that was disgustingly awful. I was so excited to see that movie. Oh, there goes Alien, but it's physical or it's practical. How are you outrunning the alien? Okay, that was all. That was also CGI, but it was so fast that it was okay. Yeah, they're trying to lure it. They found one of the glass pieces and broke through. I think that's what that was. This actually, so seeing like this, most of the alien in this movie is practical, but seeing these small parts of CGI make me think that they're going to use more CGI in the fourth part, Resurrection, when we watch that next week. My God, that looks awful. You don't need to do that. Why? You don't need to do that. You don't need to use CGI for that part. I'm assuming that. You know what's crazy about it is it looks cut out. You know what's done is done. It's not like this is a new movie, but it's just so unfortunate. I'm sure they felt like, look, we can do these scenes with a computer instead of actually going out of our way and making a real thing. I feel like 90s people were definitely excited for CGI. Oh no. Oh dear Lord. Oh, this is bringing down this experience of this movie very quickly. I do get that this crew is supposed to be expendable as well, right? They're all prisoners. See, there you go. There goes a physical. There goes a practical shot of the alien, and it looked great. But I guess in all of these running scenes, they found a way around it too, where they use the camera as the sight and the speed of the alien, and you could do that. But I feel like they got really excited to finally have like longer scenes of the alien running. So they figured they could do it with CGI despite it looking atrocious. Literally, it looks like you pasted something on top of something else and not in a convincing manner, like a bad Photoshop. There it goes. He's gone. See, in watching Alien 1, obviously I wasn't born yet, 1979. I have to put myself there. 1986, it's just everything is impressive there. And then 1993, I do know what it was like when this movie was released in theaters. I didn't see it in theaters. I was too young. I was 7 years old, but I know, you know what I mean? Like that's my time period as a youth. I think here's the team to save Ripley, which I'm assuming they're probably all going to die too. But like I know the movies, what cinema looked like, what another shot of this fucking CGI alien. I know what that looked like. I know what TV looked like at this time. And I can tell you that even for 1993, the CGI is so bad. This particular CGI is awful. And I think the biggest problem is that I can't tell if it's the same alien, which obviously it has to be. I haven't seen anything but one alien in here. And the narrative says there's no more than one alien, but the CGI alien looks so different than the practical alien. This dog alien. So they got about 4 or 5 minutes before the place seals off. So they got to get back into the prison. I'm still trying to. I think the biggest thing for me is like, and I'm sure moviegoers at the time were wondering, outside of all the ideas that have been thrown out in this movie, is how did that alien get into? How did that queen alien get into Ripley? And was it placed there by the company or what? By the way, you guys who are joining me, if you've seen Alien 3, did you watch it in the theaters, VHS? When was your first time watching it? Or is this live watch along your first time? Because there are, from what I see, 4 of you here. 3 of you, I believe, have been with me since the beginning. So go ahead and leave your comments in the chat here. There goes another team member. I'm just thinking like the bigger budget for this movie has to be because of the shitty CGI. Some way, somehow, they convinced the studio that that was the best thing to do. It's funny. It's been the dog alien has been called everything but an alien. It's been called a beast, a dragon. The rescue team is there, and they've only asked about Ripley. Everybody else is expendable, which they're prisoners, so they don't care. God, this guy's got to go. God, this guy's got to go. This is that guy that's been yelling at everybody since the beginning, putting off his insecurities. Come on, get him and make it a good scene, please. So far, practical. Yeah, this alien mauls them like a dog, obviously, because it made it with a dog. What do you call that? What do you call what they do? What the aliens do? Do they merge with them? Do they, what exactly is it? The practical shots of the dog alien are so good. It's so good. It's so unnecessary to do that CGI version. But man, I would never think that this would be the sequel to Aliens with such a huge movie, such an amazingly big blockbuster looking movie. This just does not feel like the logical next step. It just doesn't. So what's interesting, right? Like obviously, we keep seeing it, so I can't get over how bad this CGI alien looks. But the the thing that's like really bothering me is that the practical one looks so much bigger than the CGI alien. Every time they show the CGI one, they show the entire body and it looks tiny. Every time they show the practical one, they show half of it, some of it, and you can tell that it's a big size. And I feel like as much as the acid has been used in this movie to just signify where it's been, they're not using it at all to like burn these prisoners yet. They're not injuring the alien to the point where it bleeds out and something happens once it bleeds out or it leads to a different place. In part 2, they utilize that acid so much. And then this one goes back to utilizing the acid like it did in part 1. I'm telling you, somebody had to say, we're going to go back to one alien and go back to basics. Why? This is a side quest movie. This is not a sequel. Dylan is reinforcing the fact that they have to absolutely kill that alien, the dog alien. And I guess walls are closing in, it looks like, or there's steam or something. But we have to kill the alien first before Ripley dies. And she's trying to die at the same time. Why is Dylan willing to sacrifice himself? Oh shit! There goes Dylan. Pour the lead, the lava. Oh, they've captured it in between two things. Come on. So they poured lead onto it. Hot lead. So obviously Dylan is dead, and this alien has got to be hopefully dead. If I were her, shouldn't she just jump into that lead as well? Since she wants to die? I wonder if this is gonna do. So I was also thinking while I'm watching this is like, God, I got a bad feeling they're gonna do like some shitty CGI shot of it coming back out of the water or out of the lead. Yep, there it goes. It's not a bad CGI shot. It was covered with a lot of that, liquid lead, but by no means should it be doing anything. Yeah, this is a side quest movie. This is not a full blown sequel. This could have been a book. And for some reason, it's going after Ripley, despite it not killing her previously, because she has the queen inside of her, apparently. So it just exploded. Should there not be like a ton of acid all over the place, destroying things, since it just exploded? Guys, for those of you watching, because there's four of you here now, so welcome to the stream. But I know there's been three since the beginning watching. If you guys are watching along with me, or you know of this movie Alien 3, kind of explain what's going on here with this final scene. I don't understand why there wasn't a bunch of acid that destroyed everything once the alien exploded. And I'm also very curious as to what's going to happen with Ripley right now. Oh, Lance Henriksen is in the movie. So Bishop, it's not Bishop who's back. It's the creator of Bishop, sort of like who they molded the T-800 after, which we never got because he's too old now. By the way, I was talking about Terminator right now. It's just a similar thing. God, this movie is red and copper, just such a different tone from the second one. They're trying to convince her to come back to the ship. Obviously, they're making promises to her that they'll take the alien out of her, make sure she's safe. But Ripley knows better not to trust Wayland. I wonder if Lance Henriksen had some work done to his face between 2 and 3 because he has less lines literally on his face. He looks more youthful in this one than he did in the second one. I wonder if he was healthier or something like that. Oh, that guy's dead. So the guy that's the second, the second guy who was helping Ripley just sacrificed himself to hit Lance Henriksen's character on the back of the head. Yeah, he's obsessed with the alien. They've always been. It's the whole genesis, the crux of it. I guess if you had to come up with somebody who did this, right? Who was in charge, who put in 1, 2, and now 3 into play, why are all these people expendable? It would be Lance Henriksen's character. So interesting, again, an interesting way of spinning it. There goes Ripley. She's doing a full bump. That is terrible CGI. Oh, wait a minute. There it goes. So the queen alien just did a chest burst out of her as she's fully taking this bump, and she's holding on to it as she falls into hell, is what it seems like. But that's the lava that they threw Newt and Kyle Reese into earlier. Again, his name is not Kyle Reese here, but that's the same actor. I do not know his name. If you do, please leave it down in the chat. I would assume. See, right away, I'm trying to think like. And now I'm thinking that if they used this much bad CGI in 3, there's going to be way more CGI in 4. This is how did the smartass? Are you serious? The smartass made it. The guy who was annoying throughout the entire movie. And then I'm also assuming that if Ripley is truly dead, and she still shows back up, because I saw her face on the front of 4. If she's back in that one, then she's a droid in 4. And right now, 3 seems to be ending with her very last message from the first one. End of transmission. That ship is to be sold as scrap. Yeah. This is a huge drop. Huge drop from 2. It's not a terrible movie. It's not awful, but this certainly did not feel like a full-blown sequel to Aliens and the incredible movie that Aliens was. I think you guys know, if you're subscribed to this channel, I think you guys are going to know whether or not this movie holds up now, what that video and that review is going to look like. Lots of thoughts. Guys, I am watching Aliens all through July and August. I'm thinking about kind of throwing in a shark movie in there because it's Shark Week. So I might have to deviate from this, especially after watching this. I might throw in a shark movie soon. But we are on the road to watching all 9 Alien movies, ultimately culminating with Alien Romulus on August 16th. And then the ultimate worst to best list for and ranking for Alien will come out that same week, later that week. All I could say is, with all the sequels that are left in this series, I'm only on 3. There's a total of 8. We can only go up from here. If you're interested in joining this channel's memberships, go ahead and head to the membership tab underneath. There are tons of cool things, such as a physical card that you can actually get mailed out to you, a membership card, early access to reviews, exclusive reviews just for you, as well as exclusive lives, chats, and more. Guys, I got to go make this review, edit a couple other things. I got a new single coming out, so I got to work on that as well as the next one. Thank you for joining me, everybody. I'm Alex Thorne, and you know what I got to do? I got to rock out, watch some movies, specifically Alien, and review them for you. Thanks for joining me.